Today in this video, I'd like to show you a really great quick hair tutorial with a minimal hairpin that's 0 waste, reduce, reuse, recycle. So when I paid 40 grand for my beauty school education, and I know what you're thinking, Marissa, 40 grand for beauty school? I thought this was an easy option. Well, Brenda, I did too. Turn left. I'm so glad you brought that up. Just because it's a quick option doesn't mean it's an easy option. Am I right?
You're right.
Anywho, 40 grand later, I know how to put a pin in my hair and make it stay. That's about it.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yeah.
Welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy, Paul Fishman, self-love coach and You Do You activate, here with my very good friend, Marissa Lace. I almost said Marissa Lacer. No one calls you that.
No one does call me that. Even like mail that I get now, like now that all my great friends are getting married, all of my invitations say Marissa Lace, and I'm like, y'all know that's not my name. Like,
well, it's close. Like,
it is very close.
And I figured that you just canceled the R.
I just change it.
Yeah.
She's canceled.
The R is canceled. So I'm really excited. We've had this in the books for a long time, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm always with Marissa. We just have so much fun and being awkward human beings together forever. You stay in my heart and I will love you. Anyway,
Forever
and ever is I want to be and I will love you. So today we're gonna just fly off the cuff here. We always fly off the cuff because I think that self-love is uncensored, it is unplanned, and it is powerful.
Highly caffeinated.
Highly caffeinated. We're going to get some caffeine for Miss Lace right now. However, I'm just naturally like this. So,
I'm a happy, bubbly person, but like nothing literally, like coffee to me is essentially like a warm hug of like, I accept you to be your highest self. Like we are reaching ultimate capacity of awesomeness when you consume this.
But what about the fact that you get cold brew? Like, is that like a cold, icy hug?
Well, if we were talking to Sahara Rose, I'm sure she would tell us that that was maybe cooling down my pitta a little bit. I don't know. I really love iced drinks. Like, something about, like, ice in my drink really does it for me.
Yeah.
Like, everything I drink has to have extra ice in it. It's like, I would say a texture thing, but it's not texture. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down, but I want to, like, rewind a little bit. Is that a geyser in front of us?
I actually was just thinking, I think somebody hit a fire hydrant.
Wow. This is a sight to be seen in Los Angeles. Should we maybe go to a different spot?
Yes.
Okay.
I just don't know what our best option would be.
Okay.
But that's okay.
We're just gonna...
Actually, we're gonna go around it. Yeah, just turn left and we'll go around
Okay,
it.
perfect. I love that moment.
I love having a visionary attitude.
So I want to talk about you first. For those of you who don't know Marissa, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Oh.
Where do I
My
begin?
favorite. Oh, wow.
Everyone loves this part.
I feel like I need a coffee. Well. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Marissa Lace. I create content online all around self-love and women's empowerment and spirituality. And just, I feel that my mission in this lifetime is just to give people permission to fully love themselves, to create their best life. So, that started on the online platforms with YouTube, and then went into Instagram, and now I've been doing coaching and speaking, and it's really magical, the different avenues that you can take your same mission,
Yeah. I like that concept. Different avenues to take the same mission. And
Yeah,
I think
you don't have to box yourself in.
Why? Why box baby in?
Limited beliefs.
So, speaking of limited beliefs, like we can just dive deep. Like, what was a limiting belief that you fought with for a long time around just being you?
I grew up always being really censored and being really like dimmed down, you could say. Like, I never thought I was funny. I never thought that I had anything like valuable to say, because my parents were always telling me literally those things, that like to shut up and that I'm not funny, and you know, just all these things, just acting. My dad told me multiple times throughout my childhood that I was like a bother to him, that I like made his life a living hell, because like they just, you know, my mom suffered really bad with mental illness and her drug addiction, and so, you know, she would be on these benders, and one time she had tried to take her own life, and she told me that she did it because she hated me so much. So just these beliefs that people put into you, that like you're just not worth really anything, or that your voice is not really worth anything, or like your energy overall is not worth anything. So I think that just the overall belief that I didn't really have much of a purpose, or even what I was saying didn't matter, and so just to like stay quiet, you know?
Yeah. Wow. I got goosebumps because I didn't even know some of those things that your parents said to you, and I'm sure there's so many people listening who can relate to the wounding that our parents deliver to us. And I was having a conversation yesterday about this concept of the wounding that parents afflict on their children, and
You're gonna turn right.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's not gonna happen right now. We're on the road to self-love. We'll get there eventually.
I'm on the road to my own truth.
Which is coffee.
Right. Your fire hydrant ain't ruining my day.
We were talking about how when it comes to souls and children choosing, you know, like for instance, the fact that like I really struggle with the concept of bringing children into this world is like, I don't want to fuck them up. You know, I don't want to ruin a life, and realizing that the souls come in and they choose those lessons that they need to learn from the parents.
Correct.
So clearly you've learned the lesson that you are worth living for and all those things, but
keep going straight.
When was like the breaking point for you? Were you able to reprogram, and how did you reprogram those stories that were conditioned?
So I think that the first big catalyst was my mom passing away, and I was 15, and so I think that to be 15 and to lose my mom when we had just actually, like, the week before she passed, we had seen each other again for the first time in, like, months, and we had kind of, like, buried the hatchet, if you would, and we were talking about, like, spending next Christmas together and, like, you know, spending more time together and really trying to, like, rebuild that relationship. And, you know, I don't fully remember the conversation, but I do remember thinking that she was owning up to a lot of her own stuff. And that gave me a lot of closure in its own way. And the thing with my mom, too, though, is that, like, she was severely depressed. She had bipolar 1. So, like, a lot of her emotion, a lot of these things that she was dealing with, like, you had to have a compassion and understanding that it wasn't all a choice. And that the drug problem came from, like, trying to self-medicate and she was trying to balance her own life. So then to, you know, lose her and have this really deep understanding of just, like, what I went through with her was not necessarily her fault. Like, I don't blame her. And I think that after that happened, it gave me this sense of, like, I don't have to put up with this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be so unhappy in your life. Like, life truly is so short, and they say that you don't fully understand that until you lose someone. And I think that there is some power in that. But it kind of reset my perception and kind of my view on what I thought my life could be or what I thought I wanted. So I think after losing my mom, like, for lack of better words, I just didn't care. Like, I was just very blunt about, like, what I wanted, what I was gonna put up with, what I wasn't gonna put up with. And of course, like, right after losing her, I was really sad, but it was like a month or two after that a lot of stuff came up with my dad and his girlfriend at the time. And I just, like, one night there was a big blow up episode, and I put my foot down and I left with some of my dad's friends, and then I never went back, and I ended up moving in with my grandparents a couple months later.
Wow. That is...
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, well, you talked about that breaking point with your mom and that,
Yeah.
and yes, so you totally answered the question, and I think it also just like illuminated a lot about who you are, just that you don't, as I look at you and I'm like, she really doesn't care, and I think that's really, it serves you really powerfully because you have this ability to be uncensored in like a compassionate way that really I think supports not only your clients but like me as your friend and people in your life, because you'll just like intuitively feel something and you're just like, well, I don't care, I'm going to tell this how it is. And just a little FYI, if you decide to work with Marissa, just listen to her. Take it from me. If she tells you something, 99% of the time, 99.99999% of the time, it's the truth. So talk about like intuition a little bit and how you've really tapped into that and really owned your intuition as a powerful source.
Yeah, I think it's been since I was a kid that I am really tapped into something. And so just kind of like, for me, it's an inner knowing, and I'll be talking and listening. I would go straight for maybe one or two more. I'll let you know when to turn, don't worry.
Okay.
But just using my intuition in the sense of like really, when I feel the nudge about something, when I have, turn right here. When I have a nudge about something, or when I have a feeling about something, turn right on this one, not on the freeway. Sorry, I was just making sure you understood.
Understood.
Like, I use my intuition literally as my compass. Like, if I feel a certain way about something, or I feel a certain way about someone, and we've even had these conversations where you're like, but why? Like, I want to know why you think that. And I'm like, Paul, I can't explain that. I can't. So it's this inner knowing and inner trusting, and the best way to grow that and like to develop your intuition is to constantly be listening, trusting, and like fulfilling that inner nudge, you know? Because for me, it started as simple as like little things of, I just knew we were going camping when we were a kid, and then my brother would ask my dad about it, and then we ruined a surprise and we would get in trouble. So even like as a little kid, being stifled in that way too, and having to like uncover that and really listen to that, it's really, I think the best way to describe it, like it's a very powerful thing, and I'm very grateful for like the clairvoyance and the clairaudio and all that stuff. I'm very, very grateful, but sometimes it can make having a normal personal life really hard.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've told you the story before about how I knew my boyfriend was cheating on me, and I knew all the places to go to like find what I needed to see. And like, it's hard when those things are right, you know?
Totally. I totally get it. It's hard. And I think that I personally find myself really trying to like dim down the inner knowing, because some of the stuff that you hear within yourself and connect with, you just don't like, you know? Like, for me personally right now, I've been going through a lot, like just issues with my weight and issues with like gaining weight back that I had lost, and really struggling with that and being really vocal about it. And I have tried all these different things, and every time I go to do some sort of workout, my body is like, you just need to lift weights, like just lift weights. But I'm so resistant to it because it's just so scary to me.
Yeah.
Because it's this uncertainty, and I've never felt good in a gym, but it's like, how much longer am I going to push myself to ignore this inner knowing? So like, was there a time where you found that you were ignoring, like, or maybe just tell us about maybe a lesson that you were trying to ignore for so long that you finally weren't resistant to anymore?
Yeah, so there was actually a few occasions where I was with a certain man, and I was waking up every day at like 2 or 3 in the morning, just like shooting up out of bed, and like just this knowing of like, you need to break up with him. Like, this needs to be done. And like the first time it happened, we were on vacation together, and then you're gonna turn left here on Venice, yeah. The first time it happened, we were on vacation together, and then that night, even being back home and just shooting up and having that feeling, and like, that's I get a lot of questions about how do you tell the difference between like your ego and your intuition, and your ego would never, your intuition would never give you something that was so fear-based, you know what I mean? So like if you have a thought of like, oh, this isn't gonna work out, and oh, I shouldn't even try, and da-da-da, like that's your ego trying to keep you playing small. That's not your intuition telling you something's not gonna work. You know what I mean?
Talk about that more.
Yeah, so I mean, the way that I explain it to my clients is like you're always gonna have that angel devil mentality on your shoulders. You know what I mean? Like if you're a visual person, that's the best way to think about it. So your intuition is never going to be telling you that you are not good enough to do something, that something will not work out, and don't even try, and da da da. That is your ego, like the devil on your shoulder, trying to get you to continue playing small and trying to convince you again that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, that you can't be loved, that, you know, who you are at the core of yourself is not enough. And so, you know, just it's knowing that your intuition, which is connected to God and source in the universe, is made up of just divine love, and divine love would never tell you you're not enough.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's it. Thanks for being on the road to self-love. We don't need anything else from get out of
I roll out.
Roll out, me and my homies.
What?
And this is...
Are we singing the same song?
I don't know. It's unclear. But what I do know is that you've hit us with so much before coffee. Like, this is crazy.
I'm hitting you with a lot of titty at this point. Oh my God.
Hit me with the... So if you're listening on iTunes, head on over to...
That man just eyed me.
For YouTube to get a full show, I guess.
Honestly, truly.
Truly, honestly.
I'm going to send this into Joe Rogan and be like, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Oh my God.
Wait, do you think I was just going to turn into oncoming traffic?
I didn't doubt it.
Wow. So, I think we'll take a casual break to get coffee, and then we'll dive right back in.
God bless. Caffeinate me.
There you go.
Thanks.
Do you have a straw?
Yes. All right. We got your coffee. Well, we made it. Marissa's had her coffee. We got a new battery. I mean, no.
We've done an Instagram Live. We've talked to the boy we liked. We've talked about self-pleasure. We are now in it to win it. And now's the perfect time to hop into one of the famous Road to Self-Love road trip games. We are going to play the association game. So Marissa, basically how this works is I'm going to say a word, and then you're going to say the first word that comes to your mind that you associate with the word that I said. Okay, I love that you're taking the lead. I love this dynamic. But what you're going to do is go straight, and then see that road right there? You're going to go straight on that.
That one right there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You are man, hear you roar. Meow.
I
Just
am
letting you know.
meow.
Yeah.
Here you roar, meow. So, okay, so we're just going to start with vegetables.
Yum.
Candy.
Cavity.
Dentist.
Horrific.
Screaming.
Thriving.
My life.
Magic.
Potions.
Tonic.
Kombucha.
Waste of money.
Tell me more.
More problematic answers. I think that kombucha is really an amazing option, and I think that it is like, you know, it does have some like great things to it, but I just think that we're in this world right now where the moment like somebody calls something a health food, or like, you know, we have a lot of like wellness and fitness and weight loss bloggers, the moment they talk about anything, we think that that is the like end all be all of like our health, and a lot of the times what we associate as like health is weight loss. Like weight loss is not health.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh my goodness.
So like a lot of people, just like to use this as an example, like I love the Tone It Up girls, Karina and Katrina. And so I started doing Tone It Up when it first came out, like, oh gosh, 7 years ago or something. And I remember they were really big they were really big, what's the word? Like fans of kombucha for digestion, but so many people were like having that instead of water, and like they were thinking that this was like a drink that was gonna make them lose weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think just a lot of people's kind of what we're saying, association with these things, like, is not actually how it is. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. That totally makes sense. Thank you for sharing your truth with us, Queen.
Yeah. But I think that that's why it's like people like you creating these programs around like actually feeling your food and like asking yourself like, why am I eating this? What is the actual reason that I think I should be eating this and all these things? It's like, that's why that's so important. It's like it's almost reconditioning your brain around food and drinks and all these things. Because for me, I found myself in this bubble for so long and scared to eat so many things, or thinking I could only have these things, and if I ate, like, you know, if I drank wine, I was bad, I wasn't spiritual. If I didn't have kombucha, I didn't care about my digestion. When really, when I stopped drinking kombucha, my skin got so much clearer. You know?
Well, the culture, it's a yeast, so it's like there's a happy medium. My chiropractor told me that kombucha, like, you really only need like this much, like barely any. That's like the amount but we're drinking like 2, 3, 7 a day.
Well, and also think about the quality of kombucha. It's kind of mass marketed right now. A lot of them are adding so much more sugar than they ever had before, which in terms like is kind of taking away from the whole idea and process of it. Not to get on a rant, but
no, well, I mean, I just had the CEO of Health Aid Kombucha on the show.
Delicious, by the way.
My favorite kombucha, and we talked about that, and we talked about how, like, you know, the oversaturation in the market, people are trying to stick out and with flavors and all this unnecessary stuff, and her big message is like, you don't need a lot to make it good, and it's just really, really important. I think that message, that really what I pulled away from what you were saying is that, like, there needs to be a why behind things, and what I've been talking about with a lot of my other guests is just like doing your research.
Yeah, but also then, not to play devil's advocate, but it's also like, it's knowing that your life and your like experience here in this lifetime, you're meant to have fun. Like, you're meant to enjoy everything. Like, you don't need to eat something just because it's good for you. Like, enjoy yourself. Like, don't put yourself in this fear box around food.
Yeah, that's what I talk to all my clients about. I want life to be fun and easy. If it's not fun, if it's not easy, either you need to shift something about the way you're viewing it, or you need to shift something about the way you're living it, because it doesn't have to be anything but that.
Yeah.
Which is a really really simple concept, but also like a really hard to grasp concept sometimes. So when it comes to just like fun and fresh life, take us through like a day of Marissa Lace, because I think like a lot of people, like, the allure of like, what does Marissa Lace do every day? Like, take me through like your Groundhog Day, like the day that you would be willing to live like over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, I will say there's not really like 2 days that look the same, you know? Like, I have my bookend things, like my morning routine and my night routine that are very similar. But it's a really good question. So I wake up very early, normally around like 5:30 or 6. And I get up and I'll have my celery juice and my lemon water, and I take my dogs on a walk if I have them that day. Right now they're with my family, but I will take them outside, and they're trained off leash, and it's normally so early that I can just, you know, take them off leash. And so we just kind of like walk around the neighborhood and enjoy our morning.
They're so cute.
Yeah, and then I'll take them inside, give them a treat, and I do a morning walk every morning to go get a coffee. It's just really important for me to like get fresh air and move my body, and, you know, most of the time there's sun out, and so just giving myself time to like just kind of breathe and like be present. And it takes like a matter of 15-20 minutes to walk and go get a coffee. And then I'll come home and do my morning practice, which is like my kundalini and my, you know, my why am I blanking on the word? Journaling. Oh my god. And I don't know, that part, like, I live for a slow morning, which is why I wake up so early, because I'm someone who I just don't like to be rushed, and I don't like to, I don't know, I don't think that life is meant to be this like anxious bubble of stress. So if that means like me waking up earlier, that's what I'll do. And then normally I have client calls throughout the day, or I'm filming something, or, you know, recently I've been helping my family a lot, so spending lots of time with them or helping them with certain things. And then, yeah, nighttime is always the same. I get ready for bed really early. I don't know. I'm a very calm person. I think people would be very surprised at, like, how simple and quiet my life really is, you know?
Yeah. Case in point, your neighbor blocked in your car, and you were just like, well, I mean, I don't ever really leave.
Right. Because I like walking places. I don't know. And even how simple and slow my life is, I'm friends with all my neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, I've created that very, like, homey just life, you know?
Yeah. I like that what you've done is you've created the life that works for you. And really, I think that in this day and age, especially the social media time, and you being, you know, someone who a lot of people look to on social media around, like, you know, what is right to do, like, it's really great to share that, like, you don't have much structure other than, like, you know, there are bookends, and it's just important to share that it's Marissa's life, it's my life, and it doesn't have to be yours. And
yeah. But I think I did that. I started that, and I created this, like, life for myself, really about what you're saying about lack of structure, because I had always based my life around the men I was dating. Like, I had always, like, just been at home, and I was working at home, and then, you know, when they were ready, I would make them dinner, and it was like what we wanted to do with their friends. And it's like, I love them, and so of course I wanted to do that, but it's so easy for me to fall into, like, people-pleasing patterns, and especially growing up with, like, taking care of my mom, or wanting to, like, really please my dad, and wanting to, like, feel seen and, like, chosen. So it's so easy for me to do things for other people and just, like, not even think about it. So then, you know, take back a year when I decided to move back, and I moved back to LA, and I was really, everything has just been very intentional. And so even though there's no structure, and even though I do very much choose to live a very, like, simple, calm life, it's like that's intentional, because my life was always based around other people and, like, making other people happy. So now every decision I make, I really, really try and sit with it and just ask myself, like, how I can show up more, not for myself, but for other people. Because, like, I pride myself on being a good friend. I pride myself on being a great partner and, like, a great granddaughter, all these things. Like, I love my people, but I can't love my people if I don't love myself first, you know?
Right, like, last night we were potentially gonna spend some time together, and you messaged me and you were like, hey, I just need, like, a quiet night alone. Like, you take care of you, and like, I was so grateful that you communicated that, because then we can step into this, like, relationship of creating boundaries and also clear communication. I think a lot comes up when people don't communicate what they truly need.
Yeah, my communication is a lot of the time too strong for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, I definitely struggled with that at the beginning. I was just like,
of our friendship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes still to this day. But, you know, like, but I think that it's goes to show that it's important to understand how your friends communicate. It's important to understand how your partner communicates and have those conversations, because for me to sit here and think that you're going to communicate the exact same way as me, my husband is going to communicate the exact same way as me, is just...
Our throuple is going to communicate the same way to each other.
It's just not a cute look.
No.
Yeah. So why don't we just dive deep into the concept of, like, having a conversation around communication? Like, how do you recommend that, like, someone sits down and just, like, communicates what they need? Like, because so many people come to me and they're just like, I'm a people pleaser. Like, I'm like, okay, well, first you have to realize that, like, you've been doing all of this stuff for other people, right? So that's the first step. But then next step, it's like, how do you create those boundaries? How do you do that?
Can you give me a scenario?
Sure. Well,
let's talk about our friendship.
Yeah.
That's, like, the easiest one. Because, like I was saying, I am someone who's very transparent with, like, how I'm feeling, or even, like, just asking for what I need.
Yeah.
And I think that where that block comes from for a lot of people, and especially, like, speaking just for women in this sense, like, we're kind of taught that you kind of live for other people. It's like women are kind of taught like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, and people get so upset when I say that I just think I'm meant to do more in this life than just be someone's wife. And I'm meant to do more than just like appease other people and like make other people feel comfortable. And I think that by me owning my power and like standing up for myself and just asking for what I want in a friendship, relationship, like work, partnership, whatever it may be, it gives other people permission to also step forward for like what they want.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
And I think that being in this like dating world right now that I'm in, it's like so many people are scared to actually be like, yes, I'm looking for something serious, or so many people are intimidated to say, no, I think I just want something casual right now. And it's like, it's as little as just like really owning like where your heart is at.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we hit people during this, that would kind of like be a really great clickbait. Also, just not good karma.
Oh my God. I really like that concept of being like just open, like you were saying that, and I found that like when I was in the dating space, or even with my husband, you know, something that we really work through a lot is this idea that, you know, he needs to ask for what he wants, you know, especially because like I'm traveling a lot, I'm building this business, I'm building the show, and just like always up in LA or in New York or San Francisco or wherever, and more often than not he gets left behind. And I sat down with him and I was like, I want to be clear that this isn't going to slow down for me, but what do you need from me
To feel seen.
to feel seen, to feel honored, to feel valued, to feel like loved. And he was like, I'm gonna have to think about it, you know. And we're working on those boundaries, and we're working on the idea, and just like making sure that we're here and not running into people. You know?
Well, I think that like it's super underrated, and like it's so like, actually maybe underrated's not the word. It's almost like overdone, the like love language test thing. But like that is so crucial for like friendships and relationships. Like,
oh my goodness, yes.
Like, you know that I'm someone who like I don't take it, it's hard to like for me to take something personally, and it's hard to like actually upset me, but my friendships and my relationships know that, so they know if I'm actually upset about something and I actually am trying to have a talk, it must be serious. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's super easy, and like one of the best things you could do is just like really never brush off someone's feeling. Like you don't have to agree with them, you just have to like try and understand. Like you have to love someone enough to honor where they're at and try and like help them feel their way through it, but you can't feel it out for them. Right.
And I hear that, and what you were talking about with the love language is that yes, everyone says it, but I think it's really important to know that not only what your love language is for receiving love, but also how you give love.
Oh yeah.
And then the people who mean the most to you in your life, like you really need to know, because I'm working with someone who is having a lot of trouble in management at work. And I was like, do you know your subordinates' love languages? And she was like, no, I don't think.
What's your love language?
So my love language, I receive words of affirmation, and I give, show love by giving gifts. That's my love language. What's yours?
We're the exact same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why we're friends.
Oh.
I have a really hard time with like expressing my words sometimes, so I just like buy people things or like take them on trips. Yeah. I feel like I was telling you this about all these YouTubers are doing like, oh, stupid things that I bought in my 20s, or like, oh, stupid things I did with my money in my 20s. All I could fucking think about is like how many trips I've taken men on, or like all these things. And I'm like, where's my reimbursement for that? Like, you're like, oh, I'm like, oh, you bought a $5,000 bag? Like, I took someone to the Dominican Republic. Like, like I can't sell the bag. Like,
that's funny.
But that was my way of doing it for so long, because that's how I was like shown love as a kid sometimes, you know?
Totally. Well, I think this is a perfect time for our next road trip game. We're going to play the classic road trip game of Fuck, Marry, Kill, but we're going to do it with inanimate objects, okay? Not people. Yep, don't want to have a PR nightmare. I know you're all about a PR nightmare, but I'm not. Hee hee. Tee hee. JK.
LOL.
So we're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill with crystals, tarot cards,
Uh-huh.
and marijuana.
What?
Yep, I love to make it a hard moment for you.
Okay. Shit. That moment you're like a low-key stoner and you really have to like rein it in. You're like, Okay, wait. Fuck, Mary. Okay. My intuition is so great. I'd kill tarot cards. I don't need them.
Okay.
Great. You actually can fuck crystals. So like I'm gonna
Well,
No, I'm really thinking because like there's wait.
it's like, it's not like a literal like
No,
insertion.
no. But I'm trying to think of like actually. It's so hard. That's like who's my favorite child, like Haley or Brody.
Yep. Well, time's a ticking.
God. Okay, so I'm gonna marry crystals. I'm gonna fuck marijuana. I'm gonna kill tarot.
You're not feeling very enthused.
Well, I know that I can reach natural states of high and like calmness and all these things through my meditation practice and through my kundalini. Like I've done it, but you know, just like a nice sativa blend is like Adderall for me. So yeah, it helps me get going sometimes.
I love that. Thank you for coming to your TED Talk.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Wait, I mean, yeah. What would you choose? You'd kill marijuana. You're not on that team at all.
Yeah. I would definitely make sweet love to some crystals, and I would kill marijuana, and I would marry a tarot card.
Why? Tarot?
I don't know. I think they're
You
just...
already know the answers.
I know, but I think it's just like they're pretty to look at.
I think I'm pretty to look at.
Okay.
Why don't you play it with people?
Because I don't want to play with people.
I like play it with everyone I've dated so far in 2019.
That would be a very long list.
Another one bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust.
Paul told me the other day that he can no longer become attached to people that I started dating, and that's very fair. But here to teach you about detachment.
Here to teach you about detachment.
If I'm detached from them, you need to be detached from them. Another one bites the dust.
Oh my God, I can't stop looking at the live.
We are doing the road to self-love. And I thought that I would live a little bit of it. That way you can get excited for when the full video comes. Honestly, the fact, like, you want to turn right here? Like, there was a light about 10 feet behind you.
So I want to talk about you as just like, what, like if someone's listening and they're just like, I want to live that Marissa Lace life, and I feel like she'd be a great teacher for me. Like, how can they get in on the Marissa Lace party? Like, what do you offer? Like, just give us the rundown, the lowdown. What's your favorite thing to do with clients?
So I do my 8-week program, which is Guided to Goddess, which is a very like intensive coaching program.
So you only coach women?
No.
No, you do coach men.
But so it's just like whoever I'm coaching, there's an interview process where making sure that it is in alignment and making sure that it's right. Because like it's very easy to take people's money. It's like you could do that and have people sign up and be whatever, but if you're not on the same page, if you don't have the same like values and they're not, you know, getting to the point where, you know, people need to want to change. Like you can hire a coach all you want, but if you're not willing to shift and like do the things that you're actually needing to do, then nothing's gonna change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've Guided to Goddess, and then I just launched a 4-week program, which is like a year of you intensive.
What's
Shifting
Year of
through
You?
self-love.
Tell us all.
Year of You is something that I started a couple years ago when all of this really started. And I was going through a really intense breakup where I realized that I had just lost myself. So I created this thing on my YouTube channel called Year of You, where I was just dedicating a year of my life to like really getting to know myself. Like I feel like a lot of people forget that part of self-love is like learning every like nook and cranny about yourself, and like it's learning where you were taught that you weren't lovable, and learning, you know, one of the biggest things is you tell me all the time that it's very apparent apparent that I don't care. And it's not that I don't care in a way of like I don't care about other people, but I genuinely live my life for myself and like my own happiness. And it's teaching women how to like decondition this idea of that we need to live for other people, or that other people's opinions are just as valuable as our own for ourselves and for our own life.
Yeah, I like that. So
Thank
like
you.
what's your ideal client? Like if someone's listening to this and they're trying to figure out, well, I wonder like how, like if that's right for me, like what do you say are like 3 things that you find consistent across the board that people are going through that really excel in your program?
I wish there was like a consistent person, but it really is like a whole array of women. I think that what they have in common is just wanting to change and like knowing that something's not working. And it's a lot of women who I work with a lot of women who have kind of entered their own self-love chapter, and they're just needing a little bit of like extra love and support, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you can be in your own journey, or you can be at like your own rock bottom, and either way that's me using my gift. That's how I help people, because I'm able to tap in and like kind of figure out where their block is. And so I'm so grateful for that. And like I always say, that's why I feel like my mission is to just give people permission to like fully love themselves, to create that life, you know?
Permission, it's
Yeah.
so powerful.
But then how it starts with my coaching is like, yes, I'm holding space and giving you permission. But by the end, it's like you realize that you are all the permission that you need.
Boom, mic drop moment. You are all the permission you need. I love
You're
that.
all the permission.
No, you're all the
No,
permission.
you're all the permission. Okay, we make out. What?
So you've got the 8-week course, and you're doing the 4-week, and then you also do anything like, what if people just want like a little taste of Marissa Lace?
For coaching or for content?
Well, I mean for coaching.
Well, I used to do my one-off calls.
Okay.
I don't do them anymore.
Got it.
Goddess got too hot, too busy.
Too busy.
Well, and I find that from the one-off sessions, it's a different type of client, and I think that right now with the chapter that I'm in, I like showing up more long-term for people. It's easier for me to help you shift if I can like tap in even more.
Right.
And that requires like time and energy. It's like any good relationship or friendship, you can't like rush it. And that just requires like constant time.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. I have a minimum of 2 months that you have to commit to work with me, and any less than like the first month, we're just getting to know each other, you know, like and experiencing those shifts, and it makes sense. So I'm excited to see that your business is growing and transitioning like that. That's
Me
so
too.
cool.
Well, and I think that how it started too was like I was on these platforms of creating content and like I of course was reading comments and helping interact with people that way, but it's not the same as getting able to truly like speak to you one-on-one and learn about what the actual problem is and like get these details. It's like I was receiving these crazy long DMs on Instagram or emails or all these things, and you can only help so many people that way, you know?
And really, I feel like social media is a place where we expect to receive so much without anything in return. And when the work that we are doing, you know, spreading self-love and empowering people to just give themselves permission to be themselves and be okay with where they are, that's not like just a receive. Like you have to give as much as you take in that type of growth, because you have to give yourself the time, you have to give yourself the space, and if you're just asking for an answer, like there's no energetic exchange or commitment to making those actual changes, which is what I've ran into a lot with people who I feel called to support on Instagram without any type of exchange. So
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast about knowing your worth, Paul.
Yes.
Yes. So, like, what's next for Marissa Lace? Like, what can we expect over the next, 6 to 12 months to see? Like, anything exciting you're working on, or it's just like, what's next?
Yeah, I think that, so I just turned 26, and I think that this next year is just really about, I used to always be focused on what I was doing next, and now my biggest focus is just taking everything I'm doing and really just making it better. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like if we're always in this state and this energy of what's next, you're focused on the destination instead of like the whole journey, which is the whole journey is what creates this like really magical like essence in everything. But I think that just what my focus is right now is just continuing to do what I do and like really nourishing what I have now to just shine brighter. Because I think that it's really underrated to like honor that what you're doing right now is enough.
I mean, way to spin that question in a beautiful way and answer it in such a Marissa Lace, such a powerful, beautiful way. So if you're watching, if you're listening and you didn't catch that, it's a rewind moment. It's a listen up. Got to be present with where you are. Thank you for that. So I just have a couple of more questions for you.
Great.
The question that I ask everyone who comes on the show.
Okay.
What does self-love mean to you?
Self-love to me is the greatest foundation that you can have in your life. To me, self-love, like the relationship that I have with myself literally is separate from everyone else. So I honor the relationship with myself the same way that I would with a partner, a friendship, my parents, whatever it may be. I give myself the same, if not more, attention and love than I give other people, because I think the greatest foundation that you can have in this life is yourself. Because when you have that foundation, you truly become unshakable. And you become unshakable in your beliefs, your message, your time, your energy, all these things. It's like, for lack of better words, like you put up with a lot less bullshit when you really love yourself and you don't need someone else or something else to fulfill you and give you permission to live the way you want to live or show up the way you want to show up.
I love that. And I think that can also like reflect outwardly. So then you don't care how others live their lives as well, because it doesn't matter. Like if you are living your truth, if you're doing exactly what you want, then that's some goodness right there. So I hope you were taking notes, fam, if you were watching or listening. So Marissa, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube, Marissa Lace. There you go. It's very consistent.
Yeah, and do you have any parting words for the road to self-love?
Just love yourself first and let everything else follow. Because when you love yourself first, you're able to show up for everyone else.
Well, thank you, Marissa, so much for being here. Thank you for allowing my guests, my community, to experience the light, the love, and the lace. You guys, if you are watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. Give this the big thumbs up. Make sure to comment below. I would love to know your biggest takeaway from this episode. If you are listening on iTunes or wherever you experience podcasts, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and definitely share it. We love a screenshot moment. We love tag on your stories. So at Paul Fishman, at The Self-Love Show, and of course, at Marissa Lace. We will see you next time on the road to self-love. Bye!
Bye!